Welcome to Passive Aggressive Income. This program may contain strong language. The content may not be suitable for audiences under the age of 17. We understand many of our listeners may not agree with all of our personal viewpoints. We in no way, shape, or form mean to be offensive to anyone. Our show notes will provide all of our source material included for each episode. Now let's get passive aggressive.
Hello and welcome to Passive Aggressive Income. We're your hosts, Lexi and Mims. This episode, Mims is going to talk about something that I think really everyone can benefit from, even if you don't own properties and have a bunch of money and whatever, like the typical topics we talk about. I think this is going to be a good one.
Yeah, I'm excited just because I think that everybody should be aware about this topic. So, I'm going to be talking about scammers. So, this episode is a little bit out of our realms of passive income, but I believe it is important to talk about nonetheless. Today, I will be talking about how to avoid being scammed. And when you have a business or just in your personal life, it could, save you a lot of money and maybe like instead of just fraud situations, being scammed happens to the best of us, myself included. So if I can help anyone else from being scammed by sharing what people out there do, I consider that a win. So I'll talk about my experience first. When I was around 22 years old, I wanted to start a dog walking business in my area. As many of you know, I love dogs and I like to exercise, and I thought this would be a great side hustle. I posted an ad on Craigslist of all places. I didn't really think of where else to post it, so I was like, let's do Craigslist.
Craigslist is
And
just more of a thing back then. Like it's kind of obscure now, I feel like, because Facebook Marketplace kind of took over, but like that was the place that you would post things like that.
Right, exactly. So after a few days, I received an email with someone interested in me being their personal dog walker. I was so excited and I was like, yes, of course, my first client. I'm going to definitely take you on. Then the lady was like, I am ill and cannot walk my dog. So it will have to be a daily or an every other day walking. So I will send you a lump sum check for 2 months so that you can start and just be set for a while. I was like, yeah, of course, I'm in, and everything was sounding great to me. So the lady sent me a personal check of about $2,000, and I, of course, immediately deposited into my bank account. A day after, I received frantic texts from the woman saying, my husband is so upset that I sent you that money. He said he didn't approve of me sending anything out. I need that money back. Otherwise, he's going to keep beating me.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I'm just like, just an average day. And I'm just like getting all these texts. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm starting to panic because I'm like, this woman is being beaten. And
Yeah.
on top of that, she sent me pictures of herself with a black eye. And I'm like, oh my God, I cannot, this is not going to be on my
Yeah,
uh,
that's insane.
conscience. Like, I'm not having this lady being beat. So I was naive and I worried for this woman. And I went back to the bank and I pulled the money out and I sent a
Mhm.
check back to the lady right away. About a week later, I noticed that I barely had anything left in that account. And I was like, I don't understand why, because I never touched that account. It was a savings account, it wasn't my checking. I was like, I don't dip into that ever. So I went back to the bank and I found out that the personal check that was sent to me had literally no funds and that I basically send the scammer my own money.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, that is awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so terrible when people like play on your emotions and take advantage of someone who's so caring.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like they really knew how to, make me feel like there was an urgency and that her life was in danger.
Right.
That was, I mean, props to them because I truly felt like I was the cause of it, and if I didn't do what they needed me
Oh.
to do, that I was like gonna cause more damage to this person.
Hmm.
So the address was another red flag. It was a PO box. I didn't realize it then, but looking back on it now, it is a red flag.
Yeah.
When I tried to call, I found out that it was one of those texting app numbers, so it was fake too.
Yeah.
I was really devastated that I lost all that money and that someone took advantage of me when I was just trying to start an innocent side hustle. I was like
Yeah.
so excited and I'm like, this is going to be great. And then my first client,
Hmm.
I get scammed this way. So that was really
Oh.
heartbreaking for me.
Young entrepreneurial Mims just trying to make
Yeah,
some money and start her little business. That's so sad.
I know. Needless to say, I could hardly talk about it without either wanting to cry or go Liam Neeson on that person because I literally couldn't even talk about it with my husband because I was just so upset.
Oh.
So since then, I have learned my lesson. I am not trusting of any strangers anymore. I only take cash or some sort of credible payment method.
Hmm.
Um, I also learn not to take personal checks no matter what type of business I am in. It's either money orders or cashier's checks because that's hard money.
Yeah.
And I learned that obviously the hard way. So that is my personal experience with it. It's taken me a long time to be able to talk about it. And I know it wasn't a ton of money in the grand scheme of things, but I was only 22 years old, and it took a while for me to save that because I, at the age of 18, was basically on my own, and everything that I saved was my own money. So that was really upsetting to me. And if I can help anybody just be aware that these things happen, I'm willing to talk about it. You
Hmm.
can see, I'm talking about it now. But yeah, it's really heartbreaking, and you almost feel like you're the dumbass, like,
Yeah.
you should have known better, but when you're so excited about something like starting a business or, whatever the case may be, you don't really think about the fact that maybe somebody could be scamming you.
Yeah, especially when you're so young like that, you're just, I feel
Yeah,
like, more trusting with the world in general because like you haven't had experiences like this, or you just think like the best in people, and then something like this happens and it feels really unexpected, and it feels really hard when, like you said, you had to work so hard to save that money because you were so young and
yeah,
you're responsible for everything.
yeah, exactly. All right. So another way that these scammers tried to get me is by sending realistic letters to us saying that we missed our mortgage payment. So
Mm.
we've gotten these letters with our bank letterhead, completely credible looking wording, and the fact that we had a mortgage with this bank really led us to believe that it was an authentic letter.
Right.
The only thing that was off was the phone number, which did not match our bank's number. And this is really important. I talked about this in the episode where I talked about the crazy stories that I've experienced in real estate. I always check phone numbers. If anything you are going to take away from this, check a phone number that is listed on whatever somebody's trying to send you or give you, because if it doesn't line up, it's probably a scam.
Yeah, that's a really good tip.
So Jake was like, "Hold up, let me call our actual bank number and see what's going on." He called and was like, "Hey, we are on auto payments for our mortgage payments. Why are we getting a letter saying we owe money? What's going on?" And the bank person said, "Yeah, that's not from us. We never sent that out, and you're all paid up with us." So we were like, "Okay, they're very tricky these days because it looked very authentic. If we didn't think twice about it, we probably would have called and made a payment just because of
Yeah.
how real it looked. So make sure you fully review any letter, email, text you get from people asking you to pay. If you're unsure, call your bank or anyone else that they're claiming to be. Don't just take people's word on things, because scammers are getting better at what they do. I mean, the scammers even make it their full-time job, so don't let your hard-earned money pay their salaries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's a really good tip, just like about the phone number, especially like the fact that Jake went and called the actual bank's number that you can find on Google. Like just
Yeah,
because you see a phone number listed on this piece of paper that you get in the mail doesn't mean that you shouldn't do a little bit more due diligence and be like, does this match up? Like I'm gonna call the number that I've called in the past, and I know for sure that goes to the bank.
right. And being in a that was our business account. So can you imagine all of our money just being taken by these people that literally just scam for a living? Like, I
Mhm.
would be so devastated, because there's a lot of money in our accounts
Yeah.
because of our business,
Mhm.
and I just could not imagine just handing it over on a silver platter to these
Yeah,
fuckers.
seriously. Oh my gosh.
So other ways that people scam is by calling. I know someone's grandmother that got scammed this way. These people called her and said, "Hey, your grandson is in jail. Please give us X amount of money so that he can be bailed out." And unfortunately, she was so worried for him that she gave them the money without double checking with the family to see if it was true. It was really sad because she she's just an old lady and was
Yeah.
worried about her grandson, and then handed over a bunch of money, in the thousands, and hope that her grandson was being able to release. Meanwhile, he was just sitting at home playing video games.
Oh. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's messed up. I hate that when you go for like people who don't really know any better, who haven't grown up with like the technology that we have,
right,
and just like they get a call and they're like, yeah, that must be true. Like they're not expecting anything
right,
different.
right. Another way is by creating a dating profile and pretending to be in an online relationship with you. They will come up with crazy stories to guilt you or make you fear for their lives. Like, if I don't pay off this debt, I'll be thrown in jail. Or if you don't give me $200 for my phone bill, I won't have any way to contact you. Then, once they have that initial payment from you, they don't hesitate to ask for more and for
Mhm.
larger amounts. And if they refuse to FaceTime you or keep asking for money, don't have a way to come and see you because of back to back excuses, you're probably being scammed.
Yeah, I think it goes to like one of those things, like if it feels like maybe it's too good to be true, like, someone who is just like perfect online and like you've never actually like had a face-to-face interaction, just be like wary of those people in general. And that's not to say that like everyone you meet online is going to be scamming you, but I think in the age of the internet, when like it is so easy to do those types of scams, you just have to be a bit more aware.
Yeah. A red flag in general is if they refuse to show their face,
Mhm.
that is not a good sign,
Yeah.
because if you're talking to a real person, a person that's interested in you, yeah, of course they're going to want to see your face as well, and wouldn't have any problem in showing their face. So if
Mhm.
it's like pulling teeth with trying to get to meet in person or do a FaceTime, I would second guess that relationship.
Yeah, 100%.
So, although there are many other ways people get scammed, these are the most common ones. And unfortunately, these are some that I have experienced myself. I want to conclude this episode by telling our listeners to double check before handing your money over to someone over the phone or online. Make sure you make the necessary phone calls to verify what these people are saying to be true. And to add an extra layer of protection, maybe ask your accounts, like at your bank or your phone carrier or any other important accounts that you have, to have like a code word so that it is completely unique and original to you. So if you do call, they are always asking, hey, what's your code word? Or,
Mhm.
vice versa. You have to ask, what is my code word, so that um, they would know on their end.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. I would never have even thought of that.
Yeah, we have that in our bank, and I actually have that on my and my phone carrier too, just because I'm not getting scammed at all.
Not doing this shit anymore.
Yeah, no, I'm not. So I feel very protected when they ask me that, or I ask them to, because
Mhm.
then if I hear any hesitation, it's like, oh, you don't have a code word. I'd be like, all right,
I do
you're
though.
done. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Lastly, if you have been scammed, don't be ashamed. The people who need to be ashamed are those who prey on innocent people, because they are too much of a piece of shit to make their own money. They have lost their humanity, and they will get their own karma. So don't blame it on you. Blame it on them, because they're the one who's, preying on you.
Mhm.
And maybe you can learn from the mistakes and not be so naive, or just be a little bit more mindful of who you're giving your private information to. um, like I mentioned before, I was really embarrassed that happened to me. And now, after some time and stacking quadruple the money that I lost, I can finally talk about it and help other people out there.
Mhm.
So I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Beware of Scammers. I hope that this was in some way helpful, because I know it happens to a lot of people. It
Yeah.
doesn't Scammers don't discriminate against,
Mhm.
gender or race, or they probably do. No, they probably don't. With economic, uh, different types of people and
Mhm.
different ways of lifestyle. So be be aware that this happens.
Yeah, I also want to throw out from something with my own experiences is to always, always, always read reviews before you purchase something, before you book a trip or an excursion. That's definitely something that I have had experience with getting scammed, is just like when I
Mm.
was younger, I was also just like very trusting, and I just figured that if something was available to be purchased, like for example, my prom dress on Etsy, then like that's legitimately what I was going to get. And so if you are purchasing things online, I would say read reviews, make sure that the shop is reputable and has at least several purchases with reviews, and it's not just like a new shop that you've never heard of before. And yeah, like with hotel stays, things like that, just see what other people are saying. Like it takes just a little bit of time to look into those things, and it can really save you from having a super bad experience or losing out on money.
That is a really good point. See, this is why I wanted to do this episode, because there's just so many ways that you can run into these types of scams, or being disappointed in a product that you get. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you so much for talking about this, Mims. I know that it is hard because like it's easy to feel embarrassed about something like this, even though it's not your fault. But you're like, wow, I really should have been thinking about this more. But it's just natural to be trusting in people, and that's not a bad thing at all. So
Right.
thanks for bringing up your experiences and sort of what you've learned from it. And I'm sure this will help a lot of people too.
Yeah, I hope so. Make sure to catch us on the next episode. We will be back on Monday. Make sure to follow us on the socials, on Facebook and on Instagram, and to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and to follow us on Spotify as well.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. And as always, we'll see you next week, Monday.
Bye.
Bye. Passive Aggressive Income was written, recorded, edited, and produced by co-hosts and creators Mims and Lexi. We truly want to thank our listeners, collaborators, friends, and family that continuously support us for all the love we receive. If you enjoy our show, please give us a glowing rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also, follow us on Facebook and Instagram to see what we are up to.
For any inquiries, please email passiveaggressiveincome2023@gmail.com. Episodes of Passive Aggressive Income are available wherever you listen to podcasts, so make sure to subscribe and like us on your favorite streaming platform.